YouTube. Well, we're not on it, so you don't know that. But we are live on Facebook and on my personal YouTube channel, which I have no idea. It's probably school teacher videos from back when I taught sixth grade. I know one of them's on there from when I did Space Week at Wedgwood that was in 2003. So check it out. It's pretty cool. It's a project I did with my buddy Dave. We built a space shuttle in the gym. Okay, so hang tight with us, Mike and Mike, in the evening. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2076 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. As always, hope you had a wonderful weekend. Got to get out and enjoy some awesome weather. We had some great weather here in St. Louis. Finally, I think spring is here. We got some warmer weather and a little stormy, but what can you do? I'll take the warm and stormy over the cold and all that stuff any day. So anyway, we are getting ready to have a trip report as we do every Monday. And today I am super stoked. We have a return guest on the show and we're headed out to the West Coast. We're switching it up for a week. Not that it's going to be something that I'm doing for my own personal gain, but kinda, because we're going to talk a little Disneyland today. And I'm so excited because I'm going to give you some insight on what I'm planning, because I have started my plans for July 2nd to the 9th. But today, bringing on a repeat guest, Mike, checking in here from St. Louis, Missouri, Maplewood to be exact. Mike, how's it going?
It's going great. I was listening to your show a couple weeks ago at the gym, and you had your big announcement. And I was on pins and needles when you said you're going to Disneyland. I might have fist pumped while working out in the gym and got some weird looks, but I was very excited for you.
I am glad to hear that. I was, it's one of those things that the time had come, and we talked about this before we started recording, that you're one of the thousands, literally, probably thousands. I'm not joking, that have over the years told me, Mike, how have you gone to Walt Disney World countless times? You have never been to I've never been to Disneyland, never been to California. You've been to Marceline. You've done all the tours at Walt Disney World. You're a Walt Disney himself. You read all of his, the biographies written about him. How could you have never made that trip? And at first I had an excuse because I was scared to fly. So sure. Obviously the drive is a little bit more intense to get out to California, even though I did back in the day, right out of college. I drove to Yosemite, which is, I should have gone to Disneyland then. I mean, you're right there, but just never had done it. But the time was right. Now to kind of talk about that, but I want to make this about you because it's about your trip. So before we do that, just kind of recap your Disney fandom. Maybe we did that on the last show, but kind of how do you find yourself on a Disney podcast? And we'll jump into all this today.
Yeah, I mean, like most people you probably have on the show, I grew up watching Disney movies, went to the parks a handful of times as a kid. And I think really my love or obsession, as some people might say, came about more recently. I went to the parks in, I think, 2011. I was probably 24, 25 with my brother, who was still in high school, and he was begging my parents to go. And they said, just have your brother take you. And we went down to Disney World for 4 or 5 days and just really did it all as adults for the first time. And I really grew to appreciate the technology, the creativity, the stuff you don't necessarily notice as a kid. And obviously nostalgia was involved. And then there were a couple instances after that where I was in Los Angeles for work and had a day or two free to do whatever, and figured I'd check out Disneyland too, because I had never been there before, and really fell in love with that as well. And just, as people, often call it, Walt's original park, which it is, but also you feel his touches in it. And really just from those few trips, starting to read more about the parks and read more about the history and start watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts like yours, really just kind of helped snowball that into a love for theme parks and Disney specifically.
So to set the scene, though, for today's kind of timeline, you went to World first before you ever went to Disneyland, or you went to Disneyland first? So World?
I definitely went to World a few times as a kid. I believe we went to Land maybe once in 1996. I was pretty young. But I'd say I had more of a memory of World as a kid.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the Disneyland. I'm going to get this all. I'm so used to talking about World on the podcast because that is our primary focus, but it is kind of fun to step outside. Sometimes we talk cruise line, and we'll talk about a little bit Disneyland here over the next little bit because I'm so excited to get out there in July. But How did you guys decide to go to Disneyland for this trip, and when did you go out?
Yeah, so this has um, a bit of a backstory. I had planned on. I have two kids. Number two was born 2 years ago, and prior to the birth of number two, I had planned on, with my wife's gracious permission, I had planned on heading out to California for a few days just by myself to visit some friends and to go to Disneyland for a couple days. And that was planned for March 14th of 2020,
Oof,
which was like
something happened around then.
that was like the day the NBA shut down.
Yeah, say like the world kind of changed right around that week, as I recall.
Yeah.
My wife's birthday was the week before. Yeah, I remember.
And
this.
fortunately, everything I had booked was cancelable. I had not bought park tickets yet because this was pre-park reservation, and so you didn't really need to. And so I like the day before leaving canceled it all because the world was, falling apart. And so that got canceled. And so this was sort of my makeup for that. In between, we actually took my daughter, who's now 4 and was 3 at the time, or actually she wasn't 3 yet because she was free, to Disney World. Kind of, I guess that was February of 2021. But anyway, I wanted to make up for that missed California trip, visit a few friends. I have some family out there. So I went to the parks on December 3rd and 4th of last year.
Cool. So you were there for all the holiday stuff too, which I mean, I'm going to be there for the 4th of July, but I'm not going to see any holiday stuff. So that'd be cool to talk about as well for folks that might be headed out. Because I mean, as crazy as it is, here in the spring, now is the time for both World and Disneyland to plan those holiday trips. I mean, you got to jump on it. I mean, I hate to say it, but if you're a runner, I mean, we're already planning for January, and I don't even want to bring up marathon weekend registration at this point because it's too soon. It's bringing back nightmares for everybody. Yeah. But I mean, you got to plan ahead. We all know that with Disney. So, okay. So you guys decide to head out there, this makeup trip. Yep. What do you got to consider? Cause you're coming out of St. Louis, and is there any difference as far as logistical travels that's different with going to Florida to California? I mean, obviously, you're gaining or losing hours depending on going east or west. I mean, and what about flights? Tell me about the logistics of it all.
Yeah. So I was traveling by myself, so that's helpful to not have children and that sort of thing. But the nice thing about LA is there are multiple airports you can fly into. St. Louis specifically flies to LAX, which is fairly north of Disneyland. It flies into John Wayne Orange County Airport. I believe there's a direct flight sometimes, which is 15 minutes from Disneyland, and flies into Long Beach Airport via Southwest, which is 20 something minutes from Disneyland. So you have options, and you can kind of weigh those, which one costs more, which one has connections, which one is direct. And generally they'll get you to the right spot, more or less. Certainly with California, you're probably going to want a rental car. I mean, if I tend to like to get cars in general. I mean, I'll if I go to Europe, I'll get a rental car, even though everyone else takes trains around, because I just like having that control. So certainly you can Uber or find some sort of transportation. I like to have a car just to be flexible. I know you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, so that changes it a little bit. You may not need a car for the entire time.
Yeah. So what our plan is on that, I'm gonna kind of pepper you with questions since you've been there. We are staying there for 7 days, the 2nd to the 9th of July, and we are planning on getting some kind of a transfer. We're flying into Long Beach and out of Long Beach because that was a significantly better fare for the 3 of us. It is the furthest, but Pam said check that, and I did, and it was Pam Forrester, and it was a really decent fare. Plus, I've never seen the Pacific Ocean. I mean, I know that's dumb, but I mean, like, I kind of want to see it coming in, and so that'd be kind of cool. But we're going to get either just a Uber, Lyft, or just some private transfer company to get us over to Anaheim to Disneyland Resort. But we are going to go to the Dodgers game on July 5th, and we're going to do some, we got to see the Hollywood sign. We're going to go get in and out. We're going to do all that kind of stuff that everybody's telling me I got to do. And I think we're going to just rent the car for 2 days. And what I'd like to do is like rent a Jeep Wrangler or something and just drive kind of up and down, and maybe stop at a couple beaches just for a little bit, take some, be the tourist for Southern California. Does that sound like because it's kind of,
that sounds great.
Have a car for 7 days and not use it for 4 or 5 days.
Your experience will be a little bit different than my Disneyland experience. I've been to Disneyland 4 or 5 times in the last 8 years, but I usually am there in California for other reasons. So I'll just go for like a day. this 2 days was spoiled for me. I'm used to park hopping one day, like, 8
Yeah.
a.m. to midnight, just going for it. And so you'll have like 5 or 6 days in the parks, right? Like
Yeah,
you'll
we're
have
doing
plenty
five.
of time.
I mean, we went all in. We got 5-day hoppers with Genie Plus all
Yeah.
days, and like we're
Yeah.
ready to rock. Park. I
And
made my park reservations last week. I mean, we're set.
and the great thing about Disneyland, which you've heard and people have heard, but it's so true, is that its size honestly is its advantage. It is so small compared to Disney World, but it still has like the same number of attractions as all four Disney World parks, if I'm not mistaken, or very close to it. It's small, but it's jam packed.
Yeah, it feels very
And
dense. Like when I
yeah,
look at the maps, it just feels like super dense. Like you're in Scott, because Scott's been there many times, and he may or may not be out there for part of the time too, because I've been talking it up so much. I think
yeah,
he's going to San Diego or something, but he's going to swing by because he's like, I got to see it, like your first time at Disneyland. So, but he says, and I mean, you can back this up or not. He says, like you get off one attraction and literally you're taking like 50 steps, you're at the next attraction. Like there's
sure.
just not
So
space.
my first night there, I went there with some friends who had to leave at like 6 in the evening, so I had just kind of the evening by myself, and I was at the Incredicoaster, which is the very back of California Adventure, and I wanted to get to Rise of the Resistance before it closed because they tend to close at like 8 or 9 in the evening, which is the far back of Disneyland Park. And I started my Apple Watch, outdoor walk to see how long that was. It was exactly a mile,
That's crazy.
which is a shorter walk than your walk from Epcot to
Yeah, so like,
Hollywood Studios, gate
right.
to gate. And that was from the
and that's
back of
probably
one park. Yeah,
that's
that was
probably
from the back of
it's probably like America to the front of Epcot
yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, from the back of one park to the back of the other was a little shorter than the walk from the gates of Epcot to Hollywood Studios.
Holy cow, that's an advantage. I like that. Okay, but you flew into LAX on the way out. So did that works out well for you? And because I've heard that airport's, I mean, it's huge, it's nutty, but you travel a lot. You said you've been to Europe. I
Yeah.
mean, we're kind of, I've only flown to Orlando. I've never landed at
Wow.
another airport. And
Yeah.
I've looked at pictures of Long Beach where we're going in. I'm like, my wife, are they gonna like drive the like truck out with the ladder?
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Well, Long Beach, they bring the steps up to your plane, and
That's awesome.
I believe the baggage claim is outdoors. It's like
Oh my
it's
God,
tiny,
that's
this tiny
awesome.
little airport.
Yeah, my wife's
Um,
like, "Is that look really that small?" I'm like, "It looks
Yeah.
small. I don't
Yeah.
know."
No, it's great. I mean, when you leave, I mean, you don't need to show up until like an hour before your flight because when I left, I was the one person in the security line when I got there.
Okay.
So it's great. But yeah, LAX is big, but all the terminals are divided. So Southwest flies into Terminal 1, and you're only in that part of it if you're only flying Southwest. And so it gets manageable. You just follow the signs. A little overwhelming, but if you're not used to that kind of thing, but follow the signs and you're good generally.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're gonna make it. I'm a travel
Yeah.
agent. I do this all the time, but
Yeah.
it's just, and here's the thing. I mean, I'm talking about this and kind of laughing about it, but what has me more excited than I've been probably in 15 years about any trip I've taken is the unknown, right? I mean, it's like I love Walt Disney World because I'm going down later this week. We're going down Thursday for Mallory's Cheer Squad, and I've been there many times, and I get excited every time I get to go. We're gonna have a blast. But
Yeah.
there's very few things down there at this point that I haven't done multiple times. I'm excited for what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's an excitement of landing at an airport. Like, I mean, I don't know exactly how it's gonna unfold. I can see new roads and new restaurants.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
the Disneyland Hotel is gonna be everything's gonna be new, even though I've done trainings on it. Like, there's nothing like the personal experience. So now let me ask you, so you get out there. Let me ask you this: the weather in Southern California when you were there early December, is it still? I mean, it's got to be a little chilly, right? Or how was it?
I mean, in my opinion, it's perfect theme park weather. I mean, it was shorts, maybe, maybe throw some sweatpants in your bag just in case with like a long sleeve t-shirt and a jacket on top. Like that is just prime theme park weather to me. Because you're not sweating your butt off, you're not, sitting in someone's sweat when you get on the ride. And walking around is pleasant versus roasting in the sun. So no, I mean, I've been to Disneyland in December, in July, in June maybe, and every time I've been I've had to wear a jacket, which is great.
Yes. That is great. Yeah. I think July in Disneyland will be much better than I'm used to being at July, because I'm always at Walt Disney World in July. We're always there the same week. but we're in Florida. I think this is going to
Yeah.
be much more pleasant this year.
Yes. Yes.
Humidity wise. Okay. So, you got so much in here. I want to make sure we
Sure.
hit we haven't talked accommodations. Did you stay on
Yeah.
site or stay outside?
My accommodations are not exciting, especially when I'm by myself. I get the cheapest thing I can find that's decent.
that.
Holiday Inns all the way.
Hey.
And the nice thing about Disneyland is even if, I stayed somewhere that was 15-20 minute drive away and it was easy. As long as you're not like going all the way up into like Los Angeles proper where all the crazy traffic is, like, I've stayed, I don't even remember. I was down by the Orange County John Wayne Airport. It was a 10-15 minute drive, pretty relatively easy to find parking at Disneyland, and just kind of rolled in. I actually recommend, if you're off property, the Anaheim Garden Walk is like this outdoor mall that is just to the east of the theme parks, and there's an underground parking garage. It's just a 10-minute walk, costs like $15 for the day. It was fantastic. I parked there both days.
Like to hear that.
But that is the opposite side of where you're going to be. You're going to be at the Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it looks like this is fancy. I keep telling my wife, like, don't get used to this because it's super. Because we're used to like Pop Century. I mean, like there was
now. I did stay at the Disneyland Hotel for one night when my wife and I were there in July of 2017, and it's fantastic. It costs way too much, but it's fantastic.
I got a great deal. That's the only reason we're staying there. They had a really good deal going on.
Great.
So. Yeah, that's one of the advantages of doing what I do. I got this.
Way
we're going to.
I'm jealous.
Well, because I looked. We were going to go to World. We're going to go land, and here, I mean, one of the reasons I got a good deal in the hotel, and I'll be honest, like this is the first time in the last like 12 years that my wife and my daughter do not have annual passes, and so the reason we never went to Disneyland. This is the biggest one.
You have your tickets.
Everybody had tickets for World, so the only thing we had to buy was a hotel, and we were set. And so I had to buy tickets for them either at World or Land. And I said, well, this time I got to buy them anyway. Let's go out there. Let's get them out.
That's great. And I mean, the Disneyland Hotel is incredible. It has incredible magic touches, as I'm sure you've watched plenty of videos of. And, but it is a little bit of a hike to the parks from there. I mean, it's pretty far. It's pretty far west. I'm not complaining. Like, it's a great spot. But you can park on Harbor Boulevard to the east, and you're actually closer to the theme parks than the Disneyland Hotel.
You're telling a guy who likes to walk. I got to fill my circles. Like I'm a little bit worried about not getting enough steps in because everything's so close. Like I do like to get, 20, 30,000 steps in a day. So we're okay. We're going to be good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Okay. So you get there. So now let's talk about your time actually in the theme parks. That's how we can focus this. So let me just kind of tell you what my plan was. So I have 5 days. I put my first 2 days that we're going to be there, not the day we land because we'll be, settling in, but the third. So we're going to be the 2nd of July till the 9th. So I did the 3rd because I want to be there on the 4th of July in Disneyland. So I did the 3rd and the 4th for Disneyland. The 5th, we're going to the ball game. 6th and the 7th, California Adventure. Then the 8th back at Disneyland. Then we go home on the 9th. I did, that's probably because we have park hoppers, so we can go back and forth. But so here's one of the questions I had to ask you. I had this in my notes. Sure. You're a World fan too. This is the one thing that I'm kind of worried about. And because I've watched a couple of videos, but I'm kind of like you. I'm trying not to watch too many. I've probably watched like 3 videos since we booked the trip. And I'm not trying to obsess over it because I want it to all be new. I want to discover. I don't want to know everything. Like I don't want to know every nook and cranny. I want to go in with a wonder and newness. But I was watching a monorail video the other day, and like when you can see the road, like outside on the monorail, like you can see the real world right there. You can see the street. Does that bother you, or do you kind of get over that quickly? I mean, because I'm like a Walt Disney World purist. I am not used to that. That reminds me of like even at our Six Flags in St. Louis, you really don't even see Highway 40, Interstate 44.
Kind of in the middle of nowhere. That's a great question. I mean, monorail specifically, sure, you're going to get that, but you also kind of get that in World too, because if you're monorailing from Magic Kingdom to Epcot or from TTC to Epcot, I mean, you get roads, and I guess it's not like a highway. It's a
magical world drive.
It's not like a Hardee's.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to have different expectations. I mean, the roads around Disneyland are quite nice. Like Disney's invested a lot of money into Anaheim infrastructure, just as they have in Florida. But I mean, sure, you'll see a old Grand Country buffet or whatever.
It's gonna be awesome. All right.
You know,
And my good buddy Robbie, who's
yeah.
he lives up at Disneyland, tells me there's a fine Taco Bell right
Yeah,
next.
sure. You know, you'll see a Walgreens while you're on the monorail. But the monorail is also really cool because it kind of loops around the park a couple times, and it goes into downtown Disney. It goes through the Grand Californian. It goes through California Adventure. You can see some backstage areas of where the cast members hang out. So there's some interesting things to see certainly from there.
Okay. All right. I'll get over it one time.
And they do, and in Galaxy's Edge and in Cars Land, they do plenty of things to keep it immersive.
Okay. All right. So let's. So when you went in, it says you visited with two friends who had never been before. So that's got to be exciting. I mean, I would imagine. I mean, I hate to say this, but going with me, it'd be kind of fun because I mean, I'm gonna be like a kid. I mean, I got the 6'3", like 8-year-old. That's how it's gonna be when I'm there in July. So tell us about how you attack the park, especially with first timers.
Sure. So we had park hoppers for that day. And they were like, "Hey, just lead the way, Mike." I'm like, "Okay, I'll lead the way."
All right.
And so we as everyone would suggest in any theme park, get there early. I think the park opened at 8, and we were in line for security by, I don't know, 7:15, 7 a.m. And they kind of do different stages. They let you through security, they let you through the gate, and then they don't actually rope drop until 8, but you can get in line for where you want to go. So we, the one caveat to all of this is this was pre Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes. This was still in a time where it was standby only. So some of this advice might be a little antiquated, because everyone was on a level playing field and I wasn't paying extra for anything. And I knew I could just wait in line for Rise of Resistance and be fine.
I'd rather go back to those days, but that's just me.
Well, it's not to get on too big of a tangent, but Disneyland was fantastic when they had Max Pass.
Everybody raved about that. Every guest I had that went to Disneyland came back and they loved. I mean, I never had a guest that did not love Max Pass.
Or even pre-Max Pass when it was the original paper system. Max Pass was just the paper system but digitized. And you could get, my wife and I went in, like when I say 2017, and we probably got 10 fast passes in one day,
right?
At least, if not more. Anyway, tangent.
Days back when the Waltons were on TV.
Yeah. Right. So I don't want people longing for the good old days right now, because I certainly do every time I think about it. But so we had standby lines only, but we went straight to Space Mountain, which I don't know how many people would agree with me, but I think Space in California is better than one in Florida. For a variety of reasons. I mean, I don't want to say too much. You'll go on.
I know it's a double. Yeah. I do know all the basics. I mean, because I know, but it's got a musical score, and it's cool. I love the one in Florida. I'm so excited.
I think I like the queue and I like the surrounding. It's better in Florida, but I think the ride is better in California. But the stuff they removed that conveyor belt on the exit in Florida, which was terrible.
Yeah, that is about.
Yeah, and then we did Star Tours, which is the same, but still a great ride. And then Indiana Jones, which you've never been on.
Nope.
Indiana Jones used to be better than it is now. There's a lot of things that have broken down that they haven't had time to fix. It's still worth it. I mean, it's the same ride system as Dinosaur, as I'm sure you're aware.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you'll have more than enough time to go on that. I wouldn't run to it right away, personally. But Pirates of the Caribbean in California is far superior to the one in Florida.
That's the one piece of advice I get across the board. I mean, I had so many emails when I made that announcement. Pirates.
Right. Yeah. And I will never forget the first time I rode on that. I was there by myself. I was in LA for work, and I just took a day to go, and I didn't realize it was different. And so I wasn't rushing to go on it because I was used to the Florida one. I'd been on the Florida one, and I remember going on it at night and walking in. The illusion was so good of like a nighttime bayou scene that I thought we were still outside.
Nice.
Especially because my eyes were still, were adjusted, and I didn't know what to expect. That opening 4 minutes when you're floating through the bayou past the fireflies and the guy playing the little guitar on the front porch, it sets the scene so well. Plus the restaurant off to the side, assuming that reopens soon.
Yeah, here's the rub. Pirates is down right now. It needs to open. I mean, I think it will.
They'll open it by the summer.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I'm not gonna let. My advice for the show, we've been on the air over 14 years, is like, don't let one closed attraction ruin your vacation. I'll lose my stuff if Pirates is closed when I
Yeah.
go all the way out there
Yeah.
finally after 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the previous time I went, that was one of the first rides I went to, and I had a boat to myself,
Oh, man. Holy cow.
that was a little surreal.
No
That was a
kidding.
little surreal. So that's a good one.
I'll take it. So now, so you mentioned like, okay, so you went around because I see that you also did Radiator Springs Racers, you did
Yep.
Little Mermaid, you did Incredible. So you were back and forth between the two parks. We said over 14 miles you walked this day. So let me ask you this. So, I mean, did you go nonstop from the morning when you rope dropped the park without a break until park closing? Is that something that
More or less. I mean, I stopped for lunch. I'll get a snack or two, but I like to get my money's worth.
Yeah, I agree.
So, especially on that day when I was with friends that were just going to be there for a day and they had to leave at like 6 or 7 in the evening. We went pretty hard, try to get as much done as we could to get their money's worth as well.
So what was their reaction though? It was their first day. You didn't, you kind of ran them into the ground, but maybe not. I mean, were their favorite things the same things as you, or
Sure.
did they have things that surprised you that kind of stuck out to them?
They're both very creative people. One is in film school, the other one's like graphic designer. So I think they really appreciated like the storytelling, especially if you're just used to going to Six Flags and used to just getting on a roller coaster. Like you don't expect, especially if they didn't do a lot of research, they didn't read a lot. They're like, yeah, sure, I'll go to Disney with Mike. Like, I think they were most impressed by just the overall, like, just storytelling of everything and like the design of everything, because that's kind of what their fields are. And so, yeah, the rides are fun, but just everything around them is so impressive, especially for someone who doesn't really know what to expect. That can appreciate that do appreciate that kind of thing. I think that's what they most liked.
That makes sense. I mean, because that'd be what they're kind of looking at from their perspective, and
Yeah.
like that's what Disney does best.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the storytelling. Is
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Now, let me so here and again. Everybody says this, and this is one of the reasons I've always wanted to go. And I've told some people this via email that were kind enough to send me some emails over the last month or so. Is that one of the reasons that I'm super excited for this trip, but I've always kind of put it off, is that you only get that first experience one time. So I know I'm going to Disneyland on July 3rd because the park reservation system, we got our reservations. That's the first day we'll be there. And I'll get to walk down Main Street USA, and it's going to feel kind of familiar because of the,
You're going to feel like a giant.
But exactly. Probably I'm like, woo, yeah, exactly. The castle, I'm towering over the castle. But, I've seen videos and TV shows of Walt Disney, and like he was on, like that was where he was. As much as I picture him my whole life, Walt Disney World, he was never there. I mean, do you get that sense? I mean, because of course you got the fire station, but I mean, like he actually like walked around all these areas, and I mean, just to see like the petrified tree and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the story behind all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's cozy. It's cozy. You feel the warm hug.
Yeah.
And the original tiki room is there, and the original castle is there, and there's so many little nooks and crannies, even in a small park. I took my second day, I just went by myself and I took my camera and I shot some, I'm a filmmaker. I make movies and do video production and that sort of thing. So I took my camera and shot some pictures, shot some video, and I just kind of roamed around. I walked a lot, but I didn't go, and I wrote a lot of things, but I was also by myself and I had a 16-hour day to do whatever I wanted. So I went over to Tom Sawyer's Island, which I'd never done before. And I rode the Columbia sailing ship around the river, which I'd never done before. And just, you'll have plenty of time to, like, I'd suggest, Mike, maybe just go hard for a couple days, like get as much done as you can, and then like really take some time to just do the lesser things. There's the great moments with Mr. Lincoln show on Main Street.
I feel old because that's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to more than like Mallory's all excited about Incredicoaster because she's seen that, like growing up, they'd always have that in the commercial on Disney Channel. But I'm more, the historical stuff. Like I want to sit in the tiki room, and I want to see the light in the fire station. I want to see great moments of Mr. Lincoln.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out on Main Street.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go to Carnation Cafe.
Yeah, you'll have more than enough time. And a couple episodes ago, I was listening to your show and you asked your guests, like, what's one kind of lesser thing that you would recommend, something off the beaten path. And I love in Disney's California Adventure, There's Flo's V8 Cafe, which is a restaurant in Cars Land. Now,
Uh-huh.
I don't necessarily like the food from there, but there is a giant patio along the south side of it that is often pretty sparsely populated that looks out onto the giant Radiator Springs Racers canyon that they've built. And you can hear the cars whizzing by. You can hear like the classic 50s music. And I'll go get food from somewhere else and walk it over there and just sit there, at night, especially at night when the neon's lit up and the cars are occasionally whizzing by and the crowds are a little bit lower because you're in the way back of the park, and just kind of sit there and take in that Cars Land nostalgia. It's pretty fantastic.
See, you're hitting me right in the feels there, because one, I've seen, obviously when Radiator Springs was created, Cars Land, you saw the media stuff, you saw how beautiful it was with all the neon and the mountains, and we're from the part of the country where Route 66 cut through here in St. Louis.
Sure.
So
Ted Drewes.
Ted Drewes. And in college, I used to DJ a car show every month out in St. Charles. It was a place, I forget, it was something Roadhouse, right there on Zumble, actually. People in St. Louis, that means nothing to 95% of you, but it was that same vibe. It's 50s music. I'd play, all the old cars would come in, and I'm really looking forward to just hanging out in that area, especially as like twilight and it comes night, and there's but I'm all about kind of that kind of food.
And I'm not that big of a Cars fan, like the movies. When my kids like them, I mean, it's Pixar, so they have their moments, but like what they have constructed there. And I tell you what, when I went to Disneyland for the first time was like 2012 ish, and this is when I was a little less in tune with what was going on, and I was there for work, and I was like, hey, I should go to Disneyland tomorrow, and it was the weekend that Cars Land opened.
Oh wow! Holy cow!
So
it was insane.
I just happened to be there like the weekend it opened, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, I didn't even know it was there. I just like strolled in because I didn't do any research. It is very impressive. I'm surprised they haven't duplicated it somewhere else, because it's that good.
Is Galaxy's Edge better though, as far as overall theming? Like, because everybody raves about how well they did with Cars Land, but did they take it to a next level with Galaxy's Edge? Is it better?
They're just different. Cars is a Route 66 road, and Galaxy's Edge is a.
Planet, as far as immersion,
I think very, very comparable.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, one's also a car, animated, and one's
sure,
real life.
I tell you what, there's a ride called Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. Is that the right one?
Yeah, that's it. That's it, because we used to play the music on Magical Mouse Radio.
Yeah, where the no, I'm thinking of a different one. What's the other one? There's another Cars ride. There's one where the cars are on a trackless thing and they all dance around each other. It's I'm drawing Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters.
There used to be Luigi's Flying Tires.
Okay, now it's Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters. Okay. Don't miss that ride. It looks kind of dumb from the outside, but when you're on it, it's really fun because they dance. It's a trackless ride. It's like trackless teacups. If the teacups were not on a track, what would happen? Chaos.
All right. I'm in for a little chaos. It's gonna be fun. Now I want to make sure we get all this in. There's so much. So you were also there during the holidays. I want to hit this for anybody that might be planning on going out there during the holidays. Maybe this year you're going to switch it up, and you got to do things like Candlelight Processional, which started at Disneyland. So tell us about that.
So I talked about being surprised about Cars Land my first time. I do a lot of research on my trips, but I did not know that this was happening while I was there. The Candlelight Processional, which many of you Epcot goers are very familiar with. I've never actually witnessed it in person. I think we were there once over Christmas, and Cal Ripken Jr. was narrating the show, and we like kind of walked by it, but it was too late to get a seat, and I just kind of heard it from
Cal Ripken was there.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to break his record with podcasts. I'm closing in. I'm getting close. Come on.
So we kind of just heard it from a distance and walked on, and whatever. So, and the day I was there by myself. Well, rewind a little bit. They only do it a couple times a year at Disneyland because it's such a debacle, because Disneyland's not big enough. They have nowhere to do it.
Right.
And so they set up a giant stage on the Main Street train station. They basically shut down Main Street for a couple nights. They have paths to walk through, but it's just chaos. And they do the Candlelight Processional. So this just happened to be one of the nights I was there, and I didn't realize it until like a couple hours before. I'm like, I bet I could sneak in and get a spot. And people lined up all day for this. People were claiming spots all day on Main Street.
Well, real quick, that's kind of
Yeah.
a thing though. They're like also
Yeah.
for like Fantasmic, right? People
Yeah.
like locals come and just like stake out spots like
Like,
for
oh
hours and
yeah,
hours
I remember.
and
Yeah, I
hours.
remember in the morning there were people sitting on a bench near the train station with like blankets and stuff. Like, what is going on?
That is
And,
crazy. That is
and
that just
yeah,
cracks me up. That's awesome though.
and so I'm like, well, I'm one person. I bet I could. I could work my way in it. And so I was at DCA, and like 20 minutes before it started, I'm like, all right, I'm going to Disneyland. And I walked in, and I followed the flow of people, or they reroute everyone to try to
Right.
make this work. And I just kind of found a spot on a curb, like between a couple strollers, like a better. And they set up seats too, but I was like right behind the seats, great view of the stage. And I tell you what, this is maybe the greatest Disney thing I've ever witnessed.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine the show's similar as it is in Epcot, but they paraded the 300 person choir down Main Street with their candles. They fill the stage engulfing the train station, and then they had a full orchestra on stage there already. And then Sterling K. Brown, who's a St. Louisan,
Yeah. Well,
from This Is Us,
yeah.
etc., was up there narrating. And I tell you what, I mean, this was like,
Like you were meant to be there.
yeah,
It's
no,
crazy.
it's like the greatest Christmas Eve service you've ever witnessed.
Yeah, it is.
And I go to church. I'm a Christian. I believe you are too, Mike, from what
Yes,
I've heard. And
yes.
and just to like be in a place like that where you don't usually get that. I mean, Disney caters to a lot of people, which is fantastic. But like the moment when everyone there, no matter what their background, where they come from, are standing there singing Silent Night together,
Right.
like it was the most like overwhelming. Like, this is worth the price of admission right here.
Yeah,
Like,
because, I
no
mean,
doubt about it.
At Epcot, I mean, Epcot's more. I would imagine what you're describing. I mean, I'm getting almost goosebumps feeling it because
Mhm.
I've never had a seat at Epcot, but I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times just standing in the back because I've just never gotten there early enough to get a good seat. But I like I say, hearing the story, I get moved just as much standing in the back because I would sitting in the front row. Same story. But being at Disneyland, the way you describe it, again, it's kind of like Disneyland compared to Walt Disney World. It just feels like it would be more intimate. Like you
Yeah.
are, it's just like it's right
Yeah.
there and it's up.
Yeah, I mean,
close.
it crammed everyone in there.
That's
Just
good
cram
for
everyone in there.
stuff like this. I mean, that
Um,
makes it more. And the thing I like about it, and you just really nailed it on the head, is that it really doesn't matter your denomination, your faith. I think that what it does when you sing Silent Night or Let There Be Peace on Earth or whatever
Mhm.
during this presentation is that you do feel an optimism that humanity could come together at least for like 30 minutes and then okay, let's go fight for a spot over at Radiators. It's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, just the I'm a musician. I've got a piano next to me over here. Like just the arrangements, like every one after another, every song got like more epic than the next. It's like the best arrangement of every Christmas Carol you've ever heard. It's like this is unbelievable. Like, and I didn't even know it was happening. So that was a great night.
Nice. Yeah, I love it too. I love it too. Dude, I'm worried that this trip is going to make me have to get out there all the time. I'm not worried about that, but I'm kind of excited. I mean, because it just, oh my God, I can't, I'm just, I'm obsessed right now. Okay. So you also did something else, this little street party over at DCA, which I know nothing about this. Viva Navidad. So tell us about that.
I didn't either. So on the first day I was walking around with my friends we were with, and all of a sudden, like, cast members start kind of coming out of nowhere. This is like way in the back of the park. And they like, all right, they like stopped everyone from moving, and all of a sudden these gates open and these giant floats come. It was like a parade that kind of stayed in one place, and it was Three Caballeros themed, and all these musicians and dancers came out from all different Latin, Hispanic nationalities, and they did this whole. It was called the Viva Navidad Street Party, and it had so much energy. And the thing that's great about Disneyland, which you'll witness this when you're there for a week, is because the locals come so often, like they get to know the cast members, and they get to like, they know the music, and they like half the crowd had seen the show before. So they were all singing along and dancing along and like yelling at the right times. And it just had so much energy. And it was, half the songs were in Spanish, but half of them you recognized. And it was just like this 10-minute long stationary Christmas parade with dancers and singers and musicians and floats. And Mickey came out on this like rickshaw bike thing. And it was just like the happiest, like non-parade parade. I don't even know how to explain it. You can find YouTube videos of it with flamenco dancers and bright colors and shoot off confetti at the end, and then it just disappears. It all just goes back behind the stage, and then like 2 hours later they do it again, and they just do it all day. Like just the logistics behind that fascinate me too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because I mean, one of my favorite things at Epcot is Mariachi Cobre, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
mariachi band
yeah.
over at Epcot. And I
This
mean,
was like that,
I'm a
kicking
huge
it up a
Christmas
notch.
fan.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Christmas fan, so like you
yeah,
put the two together,
yeah.
marry them. I mean, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I mean, if you're there over Christmas time, it's like way in the back of DCA, kind of like underneath the Incredicoaster, sort of. Actually, kind of closer to like the swings and the some of those more carnival rides by the Ferris wheel. I watched it 3 times. I kept going back. Um,
you were interacting. You knew when to
yeah,
go.
yeah, I did. I knew the song by the end. I was yelling, "Hey!" And there's all these, and I think that was like one of the first weekends of the show. So all the bloggers were there, and like with their cameras, and I had my camera, and they were like, "Oh, you're taking pictures." They were like, "That's just very friendly people, very friendly crowd," because they all seem to know each other,
Right. I'm
because
sure
they're
they
all
do.
there every weekend.
Yeah. Oh man, living the life. I'm telling you. Okay, so just about out of time, but I want to make
Mhm.
sure we hit a couple of these things. Now, you mentioned some of these other things because, again, everybody tells me, okay, you're going to Disneyland. You're going to be there for 7 days. You got to do all like I have a list of like 79 things outside of Disneyland that everybody says you have to do these. We can't do all these things.
Okay.
And my wife is picking the other things, by the way. I mean, I'm presenting her with all the options that everybody's emailed. I'm making like a list.
Sure.
And then we're every night we go to dinner. I present the list and we discuss. But because like I said, we're gonna try to rent a Jeep for 2 days for Dodger. We're gonna do something during the day, then go to the Dodgers game that night, one of the days, and then try to figure out another day to do some other stuff. But you did stuff like Griffith Observatory, the El Capitan Theater, you went to a Funko Pop store, the Academy Museum, which I've never heard of the Academy Museum, but like if you had to quickly go over a couple of these things, like which ones would you recommend the most? Like what'd you get? I've heard go to the beach, other places.
Sure. Yeah, you need to keep in mind traffic.
Yeah, my dad, because my dad works for the Rams, right? He goes out there all the time. He's like, dude, you've never seen, because again, I have never. He's like, you have never seen traffic like LA.
Yeah, always give yourself more time than you think. But if you're gonna have a whole day up north in the Hollywood area, Griffith Observatory is really, really neat. I would recommend that. It's free. You drive up. It's it's basically a park on top of a hill that overlooks everything, and you can see the Hollywood sign from it too. So you can kind of check 2 things off.
Okay,
off of that. If you're able to go there in the morning, I don't know how early you're gonna be headed that direction, but when I was there, it was really, really foggy, and I woke up earlier in the morning because I was still on Central Time, and so I woke up at like 4 a.m. And I was like, I bet if I go up there, it'll be above the fog. And I drove up to the top of Griffith Observatory, and it was, and I saw the sunrise up above the fog, above LA with the Hollywood sign in the background. It was unbelievable.
See, I could do that 100% because I get up at 5 in the morning anyway. But again, I'm with
you're with family,
15-year-old girl. So probably not.
So, but either way, like that has a museum inside of it that's free, and it also has incredible views of LA, unless it's foggy. But even then, it's still cool. And you get a view of the Hollywood sign from there as well. The El Capitan is Disney's kind of flagship movie theater. It's right across the street from the Dolby Theater where they have the Oscars. If you're interested in seeing a Disney movie, that's where they play them in LA. But I don't know if you want to waste your time seeing a movie. But I saw Encanto there. It was actually really, really fun to kind of see. It was new at the time. It was fun to see a new Disney film in Disney's movie theater. But I'm a big movie guy.
Cool.
I know you're not as much.
I haven't seen a movie since the last Star Wars.
You could check out, if you want to see the ocean, you could check out Santa Monica Pier. You'll be, I mean, that's in the vicinity of Dodger Stadium, sort of. So that's an option.
Yeah, Mallory says we have to see a beach, and I mean,
so
you're going all the way from St. Louis, you do have to see the ocean.
So that would check that off. And there's parking around there, and there's actually a garage right next to it that I think you get free hour of parking in or something like that. So, and then the Academy Museum is like the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the people that do the Oscars. But again, you're not a big movie guy, so but I am. I love movies. I love the Oscars. And so they have a brand new museum all about the history of film and the history of the Oscars. So if anyone listening likes that kind of thing, I highly recommend that. It was really, really neat.
I'm scared to be kind of violent there. No, just kidding. Too soon. I shouldn't have said it. Too soon.
If you want to go in and slap people, go to the Academy Museum, right? Is that where you do that?
I mean, I'm a hockey player. It's just that's how you say hello to people.
And then if you really love Funko Pops, which I have a few of my own, the Funko Pop store in Hollywood has a kiosk where you can design your own. You can make one of yourself.
I could make one of like Ricky.
Yeah, it's like $25. I did that. It was worth it. It was fun. So I don't have it with me right now, but I have a Funko Pop of myself that I made at the Funko store in Hollywood.
So we got to get out of here because we're running a little bit long. But one thing I want to ask you about that real quick, because I'm headed down here soon. Hopefully I'll be there when Guardians opens here soon to get to come back with some information with that for the podcast. Guardians over at DCA. It's the old tower. Is
Yep.
this a must do? Like, do you say must do? I mean, is it
Yeah.
better now that it's not Tower and that it's Guardians of the Galaxy?
So the Tower of Terror in California was a lesser ride anyway to the one in Florida
Didn't
because it,
move
it doesn't
forward.
have the part where it rides forward and you go through
Mhm.
the dimension or whatever. So I think I love the Guardians Tower ride. And I'm not even that big of a Guardians fan, but that ride is really fun. And it's amazing how quickly they redid that in like 6 months or something. Like
Right.
the
I mean, that's like a day for. I mean,
yeah,
considering how long it takes Disney to
really
do those
quickly.
things. Yeah.
And it just has a ton of energy. The music is really fun. The visuals that they filmed of the characters are incredibly high resolution. Like it's very realistic. And it just adds an extra element to that ride that the one in California was missing. Certainly.
Nice. And you know what I'm most excited about? Main Street Electrical Parade and the fireworks. How I mean, it's going to take me back to Walt Disney World like
Yeah.
2008. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's really it's going to take me back in time because that is
Yeah.
what the Magic Kingdom has been missing for a
Yeah.
decade is a nighttime parade and fireworks, that combo.
Yeah.
I mean, I am like, and then have you seen like the popcorn? I am not a popcorn bucket guy or a sipper guy, but
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
have the one for the electrical
gotta
parade.
have
Yeah.
oh, those are sweet. I gotta, oh man, I'm gonna be broke after this trip. It's gonna kill me. Well, hey, I am so excited. It sounds like you had a great trip. Do you have anything on the horizon, like another Walt Disney World trip, Disneyland trip, anything on the
So I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So the 2-year-old is still free until next April. So
Amen.
I think we're actually going to take them to land because we're looking at November because my kids are big Cars fans and that's where the Cars stuff is. So
Makes
Radiator
sense.
Springs Racers is like top 3 or 4 theme park rides I've ever been on. It's incredible. It really is.
Well, I'm so excited to go to Disneyland, and this show just got me more excited. So, Mike, thanks for taking the time coming on here on a Monday and getting me excited, and hopefully our audience too. You know, hopefully a lot of our folks have been there before and are reliving some fun memories. But if you've never been there, I bet you got a lot of people thinking about heading out to the West Coast right now. So, where can people check out all the stuff you do? Because I know you have a video online here. Is there anywhere people can check out your stuff?
So I actually have a Disney podcast that I haven't updated for a little while. Where we went through every Disney animated feature in order. It's called Disney One by One, and we watched every Disney animated classic in order and talked about them. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah, if you want to, my website is mikerolfing.com, MikeRohlfing, and you can kind of find some of my stuff that way.
All righty. Well, thanks again. And hey, have a great week. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot. Good to see you.
All right. Don't forget today's show always brought to you by the Magic for Less travel agents are standing by right now to get you out to Disneyland. You want to see the Main Street Electrical Parade? You want to see the fireworks? You want to go on anything? I mean, I don't even know where I want to start. I mean, do you want to go on Pirates? Do you want to go on Indy? Do you want to, I mean, you got to Rise the Resistance out there as well. I mean, if you've never done it down in Florida, Radiator Springs Race. Oh, I can't, I got to stop. Well, we'll take care of you. We'll get you out to Disneyland. We'll get you to Walt Disney World. We'll get you on the Disney Cruise Line. You want to sail the Wish later this year? That's going to be available. You can sail the Fantasy. That's my current favorite ship until I get on the Wish. And then that'll probably change. Even Adventures by Disney. So if you want to head to a Disney destination, we've got you squared away. So just swing by themagicforless.com. We'll take great care of you. Just fill out that quote form and we'll take it from there. So again, check them out over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That really does help us out. That one extra click. Just click through beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons who support the podcast each and every month. We could not do this without you. You allow us to put out the show 3 to 4 times a week all around the world here for 14 plus years. And our patrons get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to support us over there, please come on over. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Now would be a good time to follow me on the social media because we are headed down to Walt Disney World for the Summit Cheerleading Championships this Thursday. We're going to be on a flight at 5:05 a.m. Oh, that is early, but it was cheap. So, you know, I had to push the button on that flight. It was like $250 a ticket more to go at like 8. So we're getting up in the middle of the night. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm telling you, that's going to be a hectic day. So follow me on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at beourguestmike. I'm always posting pictures and videos from Walt Disney World while I'm down there. Also, at the end of that trip, you're going to want to be following because we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff. Also, please subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for the Be Our Guest Podcast. You'll get a notification every time we go live. And don't forget, please give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We sure appreciate that very, very much. All right. So for Mike, I'm Mike, both in St. Louis, both Mikes, two Missourians here saying, have a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. The dog did not bark when they came home. That was a miracle. Whew. All right. Hey, Mike, thanks. That was a great, God, I'm so pumped about it. I'm going to make it till like once I made the theme park reservations, dude, it was like,
yeah, I know. I am always, I feel like I'm always constantly scheduling some future trip to somewhere. And it's always makes me so excited.
Well, the thing was, making the theme park reservations out there didn't feel like it was like, I mean, I wasn't stressed because I mean, like you got park hoppers and like the only thing I was worried about, I thought the fourth might already be sold out.
Sure.
Because
it seems from what I've heard, the Genie Plus there works way better in California than it does in Florida. Like because fewer of the locals pay for it. And so there's just more availability.
I've never used it at World yet.
Oh, you haven't used it? Okay.
I don't go on that many rides. Like when I'm down there, I'm usually there for a race. And I'll just pop in and like I'll go on like Carousel Progress or the People Mover or just get a snack. There
are also a smaller percentage of rides in California that have the lighting lane because they don't have room for them. So most of the Fantasyland doesn't have lightning lane fast pass.
Which I'm fine with
because they don't have.
I mean, honestly, I'm just there on vacation. Like I'm just glad I'm not working. I'm just hanging out. I just want to take it all in and see it all. And
and you'll have more than enough time to do everything. I've done everything in one day, so you'll have plenty of time.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Well, hey, Mike, thanks so much for coming on and don't be a stranger. All right, take care.
All right, bye.
I'll see you later. Bye. Let's see.